In 2025, I decided it was going to be the year that I didn't buy any new clothes. And I decided to do this for a couple of reasons. If you want to see my full explanation of where it all started, you can see that video here. I also did a 3-month update, which you can watch here. And in today's video, I'll be covering what's happened over the last 9 months. That includes what I learned about myself, my relationship with shopping, strategies I've used to stay on track, and what my plan is for the remainder of the year. Let me start by giving you a little recap on why I decided to do a no-buy, and the first reason is because I felt really overwhelmed by the amount of clothes that I had in my wardrobe. I don't have a lot of storage space when it comes to clothes, so having to jam stuff into my closets and my drawers just doesn't work for me. I felt really overwhelmed. I felt like I never had anything to wear. I felt like my wardrobe was out of control. I decided to do a no-buy as a reset. I actually did a no-buy in 2020, and that was really successful in resetting my relationship with clothing. But for 2025, I wanted to evolve my strategy and learn about my shopping habits, my triggers, and why I went right back to my old ways almost immediately after finishing my 2020 no-buy. I wanted the time and the space to reassess what I had in my wardrobe and see what I truly loved, see what was just taking up space, and just allowing me to get creative with what I already have in my wardrobe. To do this, I decided that I wasn't going to buy any new clothes this year, and basically there weren't going to be any exceptions. I had over 250 items in my wardrobe and over 50 pairs of shoes, so it just felt like I wasn't going to need to replace anything anytime soon. However, I did allow myself the possibility to buy accessories, which to me is like jewelry, socks, hats, those sort of things. I think when it comes to accessories, I'm way more conscious of what I already have and what I think will add to my wardrobe. I also allowed myself to receive gifts, so new stuff has been added to my wardrobe throughout this year, but it's all been gifted from birthdays or from brands, so I haven't actually purchased anything myself. So I am getting new pieces in that way. Along with bringing things into my wardrobe, I also am decluttering a different way this time around in tandem with this no-buy year, and that is a whole series on my channel. So if you want to watch that, I'll link that too. They're pretty long videos, but I think it's an interesting new way to declutter. It's really helped me. I've already decluttered over 60 items for my wardrobe this year, and so my wardrobe's already feeling more curated. And I like this new way of decluttering because it takes a lot of the emotion out of it. For me, I'm very emotionally attached to my clothes, and I have a real appreciation for beautiful pieces, and so it's hard for me to get rid of things. This was a way for me to see what I'm actually wearing in my real life and what was just taking up space in my wardrobe, and being able to separate those two and remove the things that I'm not wearing in a way that felt very concrete and analytical, which is what I need when I'm decluttering items. Speaking of my declutter, let's talk about the journey so far and the first 3 months. So January was super easy for me to get through because after the holidays, I just want to hang out in a hole and not speak to anybody and just recover. And so I don't really feel the need to shop that much. However, in late January, when brands started to release their spring and pre-spring collections, I was tempted to shop. I really had the urge after being in winter for so long. I really felt like bored and just not inspired by my clothes. And so instead of shopping, I had to come up with a different solution. I ended up creating a style challenge in February, and it was really fun. It was exactly what I needed. It forced me to not only create interesting prompts for 28 days, but also get creative with my wardrobe, create new outfits, look at my outfits from a different perspective, and just have more fun in my wardrobe, even though it was like grimy February weather. When I got to March, I felt like it was time to do a declutter, and so I did my new process where I separated my clothes into a couple different categories. There were the favorites, which are the best of the best, I wear them all the time. The not nows, which is stuff that I wanted to store away, and then the how section, which is pieces that I love that I want to style and either figure out how to style them or declutter them. And so needing to categorize my clothes into those different sections really made it clear that there are not a lot of favorites in my wardrobe. If I was to pick out my top number one favorite pieces, it's maybe like 40 pieces out of the 250 that I have in my wardrobe, which sounds like a lot. That's some people's whole wardrobes. But for me, it's a fraction of the amount of clothing that I have. So that was really eye-opening for me, that I need to be more strict about what I bring in, and everything that I bring in should be an absolute 100% favorite in my wardrobe. And so that's something that has really stuck with me throughout the year. In the second 3 months, which would be April through June, a lot of stuff was revealed to me here as well. In April, I feel like I think I was feeling pretty good. I don't know. I feel like it was fine. I don't remember anything being particularly stressful in April. I do, however, remember May being stressful. In May, we were invited to a wedding in Cabo, Mexico. And my style is not suited for a Mexico resort. Like, I just don't have the gorgeous, flowy resort wear that I feel like is necessary to like fit in at a Cabo resort. I don't know. Leading up to that trip, I was very close to buying stuff. If I wasn't in a no buy, I definitely would have gone on like ASOS or something and panic bought a bunch of clothing to take on this trip that I would have probably worn on this trip and then never worn again. So that really brought to light that a trigger for me for shopping is feeling like I'm unprepared for a trip. I feel like one of my fears is going on a trip and being unprepared in a way that it's hot and you only brought pants, or it's cold and you didn't bring a coat, and then you're forced to buy things on the fly because you came unprepared. Or more like what happened in Cabo, where I'm dressed like I'm going to a farmer's market and everyone else is dressed like they're at the club. I don't want to feel like I'm out of place, and it's something that I'm working on. Like, at the end of the day, it actually doesn't matter. And you know what? I didn't buy anything new for that trip, and it was fine. I just wore what I had, and it wasn't the resort wear that you see on like White Lotus, but it did the job. So that's all I can ask for, is these pieces of clothing that work for my real life are also working for this one-time trip. And then on the flip side of that, in June, I actually had the opportunity of working with Quince on a video. So they gifted me a few items. And then I also had a birthday in that same month where I only asked for clothing. And so I had an influx of new pieces all at once. That was interesting because I almost felt guilty about it because I am on a no buy. But at the same time, I was really thoughtful about the pieces that I selected from Quince. And then when my family and friends asked me what I wanted for my birthday, I really thought carefully about what would add the most value to my wardrobe. And on top of it, I really hate dressing for summer. So it was nice to be able to have my birthday and the Quince opportunity to be able to maybe fill some holes this year for pieces that I felt like I was missing in my wardrobe. The funny part about that is by the end of June, I wasn't feeling that great. I was feeling a bit sad, and so I had that urge to go shop and have a little retail therapy, give myself a little treat, even though I had received all these beautiful gifts from Quince and my family and friends. So it was just interesting that even though I had gotten all these things, I was still feeling the want to shop. And so I did what I did in the first 3 months in July, which was I did another style challenge, because the last time I really wanted to go shopping, I did a style challenge and it made me feel better. So I thought I would try the same tactic here. It was great. I really love how it pushes my creativity when it comes to my clothing. There are things I've never thought to put together that I wore during that challenge, and it also helped me to explore what it is about my fall and winter style that I could pull into my spring summer style that will make it feel more like me. Because that's one of the things I struggle with when it comes to my summer style, is it feels so far removed from my fall and winter style that I feel so confident in. When it comes to dressing for fall and winter, I know what works, I know what I like, I feel confident and comfortable in almost all the outfits that I wear for those seasons. But when it comes to summer, there's so many things that I don't have access to because it's too hot, like sweaters and pants and layering. So I'm not able to rely on those things that feel like staples in my fall and winter wardrobe. And so normally when it comes to summer, I just buy a bunch of stuff that I think will improve my summer wardrobe, but ends up just being more of the same instead of me looking at the details that I like about my fall and winter wardrobe and seeing what I can incorporate in my summer wardrobe. So that was something that I really had the opportunity to explore in July, August, September, because I wasn't bringing anything new in. I wasn't distracted by all these new shiny items. I really had to dig deep in what it is feels like me in the summer and what doesn't. And with that, I discovered that if I can get a summer item in a dark saturated color, that's going to feel more like me than these light pastel colors that you see being sold all summer long. In addition, I've also been trying to play with more lightweight layering, because layering is something that I really enjoy in the fall and winter, and that's something that I feel like I can incorporate in spring and summer in different ways with different outfits, and those are the details that make my style feel more like me. So that's basically what I did through the months of July and August, just rediscover my summer wardrobe and start to dive into what details feel the most like me that I can apply to my summer wardrobe. And that's been really working great for me, and it's something I never would have discovered if I wasn't doing my no-buy this year. And then finally in September, I opened up all of the items that I had stored away in my declutter in March. So I went through all of my summer stuff that had been on my How rack, and I decluttered anything that I hadn't worn. And then anything that was stored away, I pulled out, and I reorganized that into favorites in my house section to make sure I intentionally style those pieces over the rest of the year. And what was great about this declutter was I had a better understanding of what my summer style was, so it was easier to declutter the things that I wasn't wearing. As for the fall items, I definitely have a lot of sweaters and an emotional attachment to a lot of sweaters, and so I did put a lot of them in my house section, and I want to see what I'm really wearing, and hopefully by March of next year I'll be able to do another big declutter because I'll be extra clear on what my fall style is. I think the next behavior that I want to tackle is buying something that's almost perfect. I'm very guilty of this. I'll have something on my wish list or in my brain of what I want, and if I find something really close, especially if I have been looking for a long time, then I will buy the thing that's close, and then it won't be perfect. And sometimes I make it work, but a lot of times it just becomes clear that this is not the perfect thing, and I end up decluttering it and it was a waste of time. That's just one more thing that I feel like I need to focus on for these last 3 months and try and create something to help me learn better habits when I'm able to go shopping in 2026. I think the first thing that I learned early on was recognizing my triggers and then also coming up with different strategies to deal with them. The trigger of changing seasons has been remedied with style challenges, and sometimes if I do feel the need to go shopping, if I'm upset or whatnot, or I'm getting ready for a trip, sometimes I'll just pin things to a wish list or put things in a cart, and that sort of also helps with the triggers. So having those sort of strategies in place has been really helpful for me in terms of transforming this like consumer energy into a creative energy. Another thing that I learned is how much more easily I can see gaps in my wardrobe when I'm not constantly adding things. So when I was adding new things to my wardrobe, it felt like, oh, I have all this new stuff, and I just was focused on styling this new top or new bottom or whatever that I had in my wardrobe. But when you're not constantly adding and you're creating new outfits over and over again with the same pieces, it really gives you a clear picture on what you feel like you're missing or what you feel like could add a new dimension to your wardrobe. So that was something that became really clear to me with my summer wardrobe. I had been feeling like the last 5 years that I don't have a clear summer style. I hated summer dressing. I never felt like me in my summer clothes, and so I was constantly styling my summer clothes. I did a style challenge, and that allowed me to discover a couple of things that I felt were missing in my summer wardrobe, and that was dark saturated colors, lightweight layering, different printed items, and realizing those things and adding certain things with my birthday or whatnot. I was able to see that adding those couple things were making a big difference on how I was feeling in my summer clothes, and that my summer style was feeling more like me. So it was very helpful to have that opportunity to keep styling the things I already have without adding any new variables in, to really get to the bottom of why my summer style wasn't working. So I have developed some strategies for getting through this no buy year and not shopping. And the first one is what we already touched on, and that is style challenges. I did my first style challenge in February of this year, and then I did another one in July. And both times it was hard and fun and got me to be more creative within my wardrobe, and it taught me something about my style. And every single time I've created at least a handful of outfits that become new outfit formulas for me and just expand what the possibilities are within my wardrobe. I just can't say enough good things about trying a style challenge on your own. If you guys would want to do a style challenge for fall, I'm totally open to doing that. I would just write style challenge down in the comments to make sure you're really serious, because it is a bit of work. I need to plan in advance, I need to create all the prompts, and then I need to get dressed every single day for a month. So it is a big challenge to take on. So if you guys would want to do that with me for the fall, I'm totally open to doing that. Just comment style challenge in the comments down below, and we can do it together. That would be really fun. I would probably do it over on my Instagram and then just share my outfits and my findings maybe over here on YouTube. Another strategy that's helped me is DIYing and making changes to pieces that you already have. So one thing I've noticed is I'll really like a style or silhouette, but the color will be off on whatever I have. And so I've gotten into dyeing things different colors. I've dyed 2 things so far. Yeah, one went really well and one did not go so well. So I have a couple things on my list to DIY at the end of October. So making a pile and just hitting those with DIYs. In addition to dyeing things, I love hand embroidery. I think is really fun and easy for you guys to do at home, making adjustments. If you're good at sewing, doing small hemming and stuff yourself can really change the way something works in your wardrobe. There's just so many things that you can do, especially now. There's like a million YouTube videos on different DIY styles, whether that's like felting or hand embroidery or hand dyeing stuff or hand painting or whatever that you can find online if you want to try and do it on your own. So I think if there is something that you really like, but it's just not 100% there, updating it yourself and DIYing a little project with it is a great way to make it feel new again in your wardrobe. My strategy for special events is a bit tricky because I just grin and bear it and tell myself it's going to be okay, and you have things that will fit the prompts, if you will. I can make it work with my clothes that I already have. There's no event or vacation that I can think of other than very specific requirements that my clothes couldn't suffice in. I will say, if you are going to a special event where there are like very strict requirements, the bride wants you to wear blue, it's a black tie only, you have to wear like a floor length gown or whatnot, that renting could be a really great option for you. I've never rented any clothing, but I have seen time and time again from friends and family that renting can be really helpful and useful for situations where you're going to a special event. Maybe you're pregnant and you don't want to buy a bunch of maternity clothes. Just renting things that can work for you for the specific time in your life can be great. I know that there is Rent the Runway as well as Newly. Those are both rental companies. It's a great option if there's truly nothing in your closet that can work, where you also don't have to buy anything new. When it comes to ads, particularly targeted ads, Instagram has my number when it comes to targeted ads. They really know what I'm looking at. And I just let myself click on it and use it as a practice for when I do get to go shopping again. Would I buy this, or is there something about this that I wouldn't want to bring in my closet? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten an ad and I think it's like 100% cotton or it's the right length, and I realize that the inseam is 25 inches and it's made out of a polyester blend, and then I wouldn't want that anyway. So I'm practicing when I'm going shopping to look at the fabric, the silhouette, the inseam. I'm looking at all those details. I'm gonna look at the pictures from the reviews. So when I do start shopping again, I have that like muscle memory of what to look for when I'm shopping. But I'm not actually buying things at this point. If it does get to the point where I would buy it, I'll usually just pin it onto a little board on my Pinterest and keep it for later. So if I do decide later on, oh, I really love this, I'm either going to ask for it for Christmas at this point or wait until next year, maybe in January, if there's something I really absolutely love. I think the best thing that has come from this no buy is how much more I've had to play in my own closet and style things that I already have, because it is helping me get to know the clothes in my wardrobe so much better. And so I'm able to create so many more different outfits, and it is helping me expand on what I already know and love and giving me more options and giving the clothes that I already have like new life. And so with that kind of sends away the feelings of needing to add more and buy more. And so instead of having this feeling like one piece is going to change my wardrobe for the better, I already have a wardrobe full of pieces that are in line with my personal style and make me feel great. Finally, let's talk about the last 3 months. My intentions for the last 3 months are to get through the holidays and start thinking about 2026. When it comes to October, November, December, it's already crazy. There's a lot of like events and birthdays and obviously the holidays that are taking up my time. So I just don't have a lot of time to shop for myself. And in addition, I'm obviously shopping for other people for gifts. So that really fills up that time anyway. So I'm not really concerned about breaking my no buy in the last 3 months. But outside of that, I'm going to start focusing on what I want 2026 to look like in terms of my no buy and my shopping habits. I definitely don't think I'm going to continue a solid no buy. I think I'm going to incorporate shopping back into my life in some way because I miss it and I want to be able to buy things for myself and practice the skills of being intentional and thoughtful when selecting pieces to bring into my wardrobe, as well as letting things go and continuing that process of decluttering and intentionally styling the pieces that I'm not getting a lot of wear out of, and really solidifying what are my favorites and what's taking up space in my wardrobe. I'm hoping by the end of this I have a really clear picture of my style. I think I've definitely made a lot of progress this year, and so I might just do like a mood board, putting what I perceive my style as on a mood board or something for each season, just to see where I stand and the outfits that I loved the best, so that I can have that as a guide maybe for when I start shopping in 2026. At the end of the day, I started this no buy to have a reset on my wardrobe, get to know my clothing better, and change my relationship to shopping. And I feel like I've never gotten more out of my clothing than in this period of my life, where I feel like I'm trying so many different things and styling things in so many different ways that the possibilities feel endless in my wardrobe. That, along with the style challenges, have really felt like the biggest difference so far this year. And the thing that has been the biggest surprise for me is that getting to know my wardrobe has really changed my perspective on what's coming into my closet. If you're doing a no buy year, I encourage you to keep going and finish these 3 months strong. And I'll leave you with this question. What's one piece of clothing that you've rediscovered and fallen back in love with this year? And how did you style it differently to make it feel new again? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up so I know to make more videos like this. I love making videos all about personal style and making the most out of your wardrobe. So if you don't want to miss anything from me, make sure to subscribe. It really helps my channel. If you enjoyed this, you might enjoy my video where I share my tips if you are trying to rebuild your wardrobe after a life transition. So I will leave that here and see you in the next one. Bye!